Hi and welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn and today I get to play with the Spellbinders 3D embossing folders. So these are brand new to the shop and look at all of that detail and dimension. So this one's called Tufted and the other one that I have is called Leafy. And what's different from regular standard embossing folders is that with a 3D folder, you get a variation in dimension, whereas with a standard embossing folder, everything is raised to the same level. The embossing is all at one level of depth. Whereas with these 3D embossing folders, you really get some nice curvature, especially with this leafy one. And I wanted to show that even though I do have the platinum and Spellbinders is also releasing a new sort of platform sandwich combination plate, you can still, if you have something like a Cuttlebug, which is what I have from way back when, these folders will work through that. You just have to kind of play around and see what combination sandwich works best. And I found with the Cuttlebug that if you use the magnetic shim and the rubber embossing mat, that works perfectly for 60-pound cover weight cardstock. I gave my cardstock a light misting of just regular distilled water, and I ran it through the machine twice. And you can see in here I've got a panel that's cut down to USA 2 size, and this is why I love the larger 5.5 by 8.5 size folders that Spellbinders has started to do, because you can emboss panels for slimline, mini slimline, 5x7, USA 2, even, maybe a 6x6. It just depends on the size of your mats and layers. And it is so versatile in that way. So I think it was a smart decision of theirs to make their 3D embossing folders the same dimension as what we've been getting in our embossing folders of the month club. So with all of this raised dimension, one of the techniques that I love to do is I just use, this is from Cosmic Shimmer. It happens to be their opal polish, and it's fantastic. I just have this little sponge here, and I'm just grazing the tops of these leaves with some of that opal polish, and whatever's left over I'm just gonna smear onto some scrap paper. I'll use it because it's gorgeous, it's beautiful, you don't want that to go to waste. I had originally scooped out a little bit and put it on a paper release liner. That way I can kind of use that liner as a mat so that it doesn't dry. And I used it to actually die cut my sentiment from. Now, I love these word dies. I think they are, I'll link to them. I've been collecting these every time they go on super clearance because I just love them. At this point, I have Smile, Thank You, Congrats, and on the back of this storage sheet, I have Merry Christmas. I don't know that there are too many others, but if there are any, and if they go on clearance, they're the first things that get added to my shopping basket. So I loved how that die cut looked. So what I'm gonna do is just put some more of that opal polish onto some black cardstock. I don't mind that it's a little bit streaky. I think that just adds to the effect. And the opal polish does dry relatively quickly to the touch. It was probably wiser to let it dry a little bit longer because I did get a little bit of that polish on the die, but you can just wipe it clean, as I do in a moment here. And then with the second set of dies for the same word, I die cut that out of black. And I actually used, because originally I was thinking the gold would be on top, and the black would be the shadow, but I ended up wanting to put the black on top. So the black die cut is actually the one with the debossed diagonal lines, which I think you would normally use as a shadow layer, but you can use it however you want. It's just preference or choice, so it just gives you a different look. So instead I use the gold as a sort of a highlight instead of using the black as a shadow. Then I'm really loving the look of this opal polish on black, so I'm gonna smear a little bit more onto this cardstock, and this time I did definitely let it dry completely before I moved on to the next step. Since it's all sped up, I've cut out all of that drying time, but I'm going to do a partial embossing so that I'm just really trying to focus on this one kind of sprig, this one kind of leafy branch. And again, same sandwich, it's my base platform, the magnetic shim, and the rubber embossing mat, and that worked beautifully. You can see it here. And then I'm gonna actually fussy cut this out. So don't forget that gorgeous embossing folders like these can be snipped into so that you actually have essentially your own sort of die cut elements that you can use to decorate your card with. So I just love all of this dimension, and I wanted to bring a little bit of that gold into the foreground. And since it's the exact same gold polish that I put onto the green and the same gold polish that's behind the sentiment, everything coordinates and matches. Now, initially I cut my panel to a full 4.25 by 5.5, but I decided I want a little bit of a black border all the way around because I chose to put the black version of thank you on top. So that just helps to kind of frame everything and have a little bit more black so that black sentiment makes a little bit more sense. Now, the one thing that you want to be aware of is with a 3D embossing folder like this and with so much dimension, it can be a little challenge to glue down. So if you're not using something dimensional like foam, using something like a 3D glue gel like I have here is really, really fantastic, because especially with the sentiment where this is flat, the sentiment, but it's going on top of something that has a lot of variation in depth. So the 3D glue gel is really good because you can just kind of push it down, and where it needs to, go a little bit thicker, it can fill in that gap where it's touching the surface of the raised area. Then it can that glue gel will kind of ooze out and spread out so that you can really get a nice level attachment of your die cut, but also a really firm stick too. So onto my second card. I'll use the tufted folder here. And so this one I already went ahead and embossed just a larger panel, the full embossing folder. I have enough here that I can actually get 2 USA2 size card fronts. And initially I was going to put a tag on top of this, but the tag dies that I have from Spellbinders are rather large. Actually, they take up a fair amount of the of a USA2 size card. So I decided to switch gears a little bit, and I have here an older card kit of the month. If it's not sold out already, I will link to it in the description box below. And then I have a set of nested oval dies from Spellbinders. This one has that really cool optional die that just cuts the piercings, the little holes inside of that oval. So I think that gives a really nice touch, a nice extra detail. And I love this silhouette. I wasn't 100% sure how much of the die set from the card kit of the month I wanted to use. In particular, that leafy oval frame I thought was really pretty, but ultimately I decided against that because I didn't want to cover up the pierced holes, because I just really like that delicate touch of that detail. And so instead what I'll do is focus on adorning this with some of the small flowers and leaves that come in this set. And I didn't want to add too much color. You saw me bring out some green a moment ago because I was thinking of using it for the leaves, but I actually want to keep the color palette here pretty simple. And so what I decided was to use silver, because I put a little bit of silver for the sort of that necklace or the choker necklace that the silhouette is wearing. There's a lovely die cut included in this set for that. And then I've just got this nice burgundy cardstock that I'll use for my sentiment, but also for some accent flowers that I'll use to kind of adorn the oval frame with. And silver I thought was nice because it's not too far from the gray matte layer that I used, and so I thought that would be a nice tie-in with the gray and as well with the choker necklace. And again, I'm using some of my 3D glue gel here just to give myself some wiggle room, some time to kind of nudge these little pieces around and get them arranged exactly as I'd like. And with little die cut elements like this, I find it really, really helpful to have a pickup tool like the wax one that I'm using here, and as well sometimes using a tweezer can be really useful too. So that just helps you kind of nudge things around, pick things up. And then I've just got some little pearls that I thought would be really cute for the centers of the flowers, and I even decided to put one on the little choker necklace as well. So I'm gonna dot on a little bit of glue here and then put that little pearl bead right in the front. So here's a final close-up look at the two cards that I made in today's video, featuring the new 3D embossing folders from Spellbinders. This one is the tufted folder, and this one is the leafy folder. There are lots that are coming out in this release, so be sure to check out the Spellbinders website. I will leave links to these two in particular, as well as a link to all of the 3D embossing folders in case you want to check out what else there is. Thanks so much for joining me today, and until next time, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Thanks. Bye.